Do your knees creak and ache with every step you take? That feeling of bone scraping against bone, as if someone was rubbing sandpaper inside your joints. I know exactly what it's like. I've seen this happen to Margaret, a 73-year-old woman from Minnesota who could no longer climb the 3 steps of her own home's entrance without excruciating pain. The little joys of life had disappeared for her. Walk to the mailbox, kneel down to play with your dog, or even stand in the kitchen long enough to cook dinner for the family. All this had become almost impossible. Margaret once told me, with tears in her eyes, that she felt as if her body was imprisoned in a cage of pain. She had tried everything. The expensive medications left her stomach in tatters. Cortisone injections provided relief, but only for a few weeks. And those expensive supplements that promised miracles? Nothing but frustrated expectations and an emptier wallet. After more than 25 years of helping people like you overcome arthritis pain, I discovered something that completely changed the lives of Margaret and thousands of other patients. Today, I'm going to share with you a surprising truth that's rarely discussed about how certain common foods you probably have in your fridge right now can be quietly destroying your cartilage. And most importantly, I'm going to reveal the 3 powerful vegetables that have helped my patients experience remarkable pain relief, often in just a few weeks. Best of all, this approach does not require expensive medications, invasive procedures, or complicated exercises. If you've been suffering from osteoarthritis pain for months or even decades, the next few minutes can completely transform your life. Today, I'm going to share with you the 3 common vegetables that recent scientific research has found can quietly worsen inflammation in your joints and accelerate cartilage breakdown. These are foods that many doctors still recommend as part of a healthy diet, without realizing the damage they can cause specifically for people with osteoarthritis. But don't worry, because I'm also going to reveal the 3 amazing vegetables that contain powerful natural compounds that can help reduce pain and even contribute to cartilage regeneration. This information has changed the lives of hundreds of my patients, and it may change yours too. Before we get started, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever noticed that certain foods seem to make your joint pain worse? Type yes in the comments if you've noticed this connection yet. Type no if this is new to you. And if you care about the health of your joints or know someone who suffers from osteoarthritis, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Forever Young Tips channel to receive more science-based advice created especially for older adults who want to live with less pain and more vitality. Let's start by revealing the first vegetable that may be quietly making your arthritis worse. And believe me, this will surprise you, because it is something that many health professionals still recommend as a superfood. The first vegetable that may be secretly intensifying your pain is tomatoes. Yes, that same bright red tomato you add to your salads and dressings. Here's the surprising fact that few doctors mention. Tomatoes belong to the nightshade family, which contain compounds called solanine and capsaicin. These substances can trigger an inflammatory process in the joints of genetically predisposed people, or those with existing osteoarthritis. Let me share the story of Robert, a 68-year-old retiree from Florida. Robert was an avid gardener who grew his own tomatoes. He consumed them daily, proud of his healthy diet. But his arthrosis in his knees was steadily worsening, despite following all traditional medical advice. When we first started working together, one of the first things we did was eliminate tomatoes from their diet for just 2 weeks. The result? An almost 30% reduction in pain and swelling. Robert was absolutely shocked. What does science tell us about this? Research conducted by the University of Michigan has found that certain compounds in tomatoes can increase intestinal permeability in some people. This allows small inflammatory particles to enter the bloodstream and eventually accumulate in already compromised joints, intensifying the inflammatory response and accelerating cartilage degradation. The not-so-obvious consequence of regular consumption of tomatoes for people with osteoarthritis is that it can completely negate the benefits of the anti-inflammatory medications you're taking. You may be investing in expensive treatments while unknowingly sabotaging their effects with what's on your plate. The solution? Try eliminating tomatoes from your diet for 21 days. This includes tomato sauce, ketchup, and other derived products. Keep a diary of your pain before and during this shedding period. Many of my patients report significant improvements with just this simple change. And if you really miss the tomatoes, you can reintroduce them occasionally after the shedding period, paying attention to how your body responds. Now, let's move on to the second vegetable that may be quietly fueling your inflammation: white potatoes. Surprised again? Potatoes are a staple in the American diet. But they also belong to the same family as nightshades and contain similar compounds that can trigger inflammatory responses in sensitive people. I met Elizabeth, a 70-year-old retired teacher from Oregon, who suffered from severe osteoarthritis in her hands. She loved potatoes and included them in almost every meal. Baked potatoes were his favorite health food. When Elizabeth began to eliminate white potatoes from her diet, something remarkable happened. In just 17 days, she was able to open a jar of jam without help, something she hadn't done in years. The swelling in her fingers has noticeably decreased, and she has finally been able to return to knitting, her favorite pastime. Here's the science behind it. White potatoes have a high glycemic index, which means they quickly raise blood sugar. Studies from Harvard University have shown that frequent spikes in blood sugar are directly linked to increased inflammatory markers in the body. For people with osteoarthritis, these spikes of inflammation can manifest exactly where cartilage is already compromised. The unexpected consequence of regular consumption of white potatoes is what researchers call a silent inflammatory storm. Unlike an immediate allergic reaction, this process is gradual and often goes unnoticed until the cartilage damage becomes irreversible. But don't worry, you don't have to ditch potatoes completely. The solution is simple. Replace white potatoes with sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes have a lower glycemic index and are rich in antioxidants, especially beta-carotene, which helps fight inflammation rather than promote it. Many of my patients report that this simple switch has resulted in a significant reduction in morning stiffness and improved mobility. I need to pause here for a moment and ask something important. When was the last time someone truly understood how arthritis pain affects not only their body, but their entire life? The way she steals those precious moments. The frustration of not being able to open a jar, or the sadness of saying no to a tight hug from your grandchild because your joints just can't take it today. I know that for many of you, this has been a silent struggle. People see you smiling despite the pain, but they don't see those mornings when you have to muster all your strength just to get out of bed. I want you to know that I see you. This community sees you. And your experience is profoundly important. At this time, in the comments below, I would like you to share which daily activity has become the most difficult for you because of osteoarthritis. You can just copy and paste. The hardest part for me is osteoarthritis. Your comment may be just what someone else needs to read today to feel less alone in their struggle. Because sometimes knowing that someone understands your specific pain is the first step to healing. So please take a moment now to share your experience below. I read all the comments as well as thousands of other people who are walking this same difficult path. Now, let's reveal the third vegetable that may be quietly aggravating your arthritis. Eggplants. Eggplants are often praised for their health benefits. But for people with osteoarthritis, they can be problematic because they also belong to the nightshade family and contain those same potentially inflammatory compounds. Let me tell you about David, a 75-year-old retired accountant from Chicago who loved to cook Mediterranean dishes with lots of eggplant. His fingers and wrists were so swollen and sore that he was considering surgery. When we suggested eliminating nightshades, including eggplants, from his diet for a month, he was skeptical but willing to try anything to avoid surgery. The result was remarkable. Not only has the pain decreased considerably, but so has the visible swelling. His rings, which had not fit for years, fit comfortably again. Here's the scientific aspect. Eggplants contain alkaloids that, in sensitive people, can interfere with calcium metabolism and promote the deposition of microscopic crystals in the joints. These crystals act like tiny blades, irritating already sensitized joint tissue and accelerating cartilage degradation. A little-known consequence of regular eggplant consumption for people with osteoarthritis is what we call the cascade effect. The initial inflammation caused can trigger a series of biochemical reactions that further sensitize the joints to pain, creating a vicious cycle that is difficult to break with medication alone. The solution? Replace eggplants with zucchini or Italian zucchini. These vegetables offer a similar texture in many recipes, but they belong to a completely different plant family and are generally well tolerated even by people with sensitive arthritis. A study from the University of North Carolina showed that making this simple replacement resulted in a measurable improvement in inflammatory biomarkers in patients with osteoarthritis in just 3 weeks. Now that we've revealed the 3 vegetables that may be quietly making your arthritis worse, let's talk about the 3 amazing vegetables that the latest science shows can actually help relieve pain and even contribute to cartilage regeneration. The first surprisingly beneficial vegetable is broccoli. This cruciferous vegetable contains a compound called sulforaphane that research from the University of East Anglia in the United Kingdom has shown to have powerful anti-inflammatory effects specifically on the joints. I'm going to share the story of Barbara, a 69-year-old retired nurse from Arizona. Barbara could barely climb stairs due to severe arthrosis in her knees. When she started including broccoli in at least 5 meals a week, she noticed something amazing. After 6 weeks, the pain that rated her an 8 out of 10 had subsided to a manageable level of 4. She sent me a video of her going up and down stairs to show her improvement, and there were tears of joy in her eyes. Here's the science behind it. The sulforaphane in broccoli activates a protective pathway called NRF2, which turns off multiple inflammatory genes simultaneously. It's like flipping a master switch that reduces inflammation throughout the body, but with particularly noticeable effects on the joints. In addition, laboratory studies show that sulforaphane may actually protect cartilage cells from damage and possibly stimulate tissue regeneration. A tip to maximize the benefits: steam the broccoli lightly for just 3 to 4 minutes, rather than boiling it or overcooking it. Overcooking destroys many of the beneficial compounds. Another option is to add shredded raw broccoli to salads, or include broccoli sprouts, which contain up to 100 times more sulforaphane than ripe broccoli. The second vegetable that can transform your experience with osteoarthritis is ginger. Although technically a root, ginger is often used as a vegetable in cooking. This superfood contains gingerols and shogaols, compounds that have been shown to have potent anti-inflammatory properties comparable to medications like ibuprofen, but without the gastrointestinal side effects. I met William, a 78-year-old retired carpenter from Pennsylvania, who suffered from osteoarthritis in his hands so severe that he could no longer hold his beloved tools. When he started adding fresh ginger to his diet daily, including drinking ginger tea every morning, the transformation was impressive. Within 2 months, William was back to working on small projects in his workshop. His grip strength had improved significantly, and the morning stiffness that lasted for hours had decreased to less than 30 minutes. The scientific mechanism is fascinating. The active compounds in ginger block the same enzyme pathways as non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, but in a gentler, more selective way. In addition, research from the University of Florida has shown that ginger contains antioxidants that protect synovial fluid, the natural oil that lubricates our joints. A little-known benefit of ginger is its effect on microcirculation within the joints. It increases blood flow to affected areas, bringing in essential nutrients and removing inflammatory products more efficiently. This creates a more favorable environment for natural healing. To incorporate more ginger into your diet, try adding freshly grated ginger to smoothies, soups, and stir-fries. A tip from my most successful patients: prepare a morning wellness shot with grated fresh ginger, a squeeze of lemon, and a pinch of turmeric. Many report that this simple addition to their morning routine has significantly reduced stiffness and pain throughout the day. And finally, the third vegetable that can help transform your experience with osteoarthritis: kale. This potent leafy green, a member of the cruciferous family just like broccoli, is packed with anti-inflammatory compounds and, more importantly, contains exceptionally high levels of vitamin K. I'm going to share the story of Patricia, a 71-year-old retired piano teacher from Seattle, who suffered from debilitating osteoarthritis in her hands and fingers. Once she started consuming kale regularly, incorporating it into smoothies, salads, and stir-fries, she experienced something she thought was impossible. In just 2 months, the pain that prevented her from playing her beloved piano had diminished significantly. She sent me a recording of her playing a Chopin piece, something she hadn't done in years, with tears of gratitude. Here's the science. The vitamin K in kale is essential for the synthesis of proteins that regulate bone and cartilage mineralization. Researchers at Boston University Medical Center found that people with higher levels of vitamin K have significantly less cartilage breakdown over time. In addition, kale contains more than 45 different flavonoids with antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties that work synergistically to reduce inflammation. One surprising and little-known benefit of kale is its effect on the body's production of hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid is the main component of synovial fluid, the natural lubricant in our joints. Increasing your natural output is like giving your joints an internal oil change. To incorporate more kale into your diet, try massaging it lightly with a little olive oil and lemon to soften the leaves and make them more palatable in salads, or add some leaves to your morning smoothies where the flavor is masked by sweeter fruit. My most successful patients consume at least 2 to 3 servings of kale per week, and many report that the benefits start to be noticed in as little as 10 or 14 days. Let's talk now about an integrated approach. How can you combine this knowledge about both helping and harming vegetables to create a complete anti-inflammatory eating plan? Here's a simple 3-step plan that has helped thousands of my patients. Step 1. Eliminate the 3 inflammatory vegetables we discussed for a full 21 days. That means no tomatoes, white potatoes, or eggplants. This elimination phase is crucial for reducing the overall inflammatory load in your body and creating a baseline for you to evaluate improvements. Step 2. During those same 21 days, add the 3 beneficial vegetables we discussed. Try to consume broccoli at least 4 times a week. Add fresh ginger to your diet daily even if it's in small amounts, and include kale in your meals 2 to 3 times a week. Step 3. Keep a simple diary of your pain, rating it from 0 to 10 every morning and evening. Also note your morning stiffness, ability to perform daily tasks, and any other changes you notice. This record will be invaluable in identifying your personal tendencies and patterns. Let me share the inspiring story of Richard, a 76-year-old retired lawyer from Denver. Richard suffered from such severe osteoarthritis in his hip that he was on the waiting list for replacement surgery. Desperate to avoid the operation, he strictly followed this 3-step plan. After just 6 weeks, the improvement was so significant that his orthopedic surgeon was baffled by the reduction in inflammation visible on the new X-rays. The surgery was postponed, and 2 years later, Richard is still managing his condition with this nutritional approach, complemented by light strengthening exercises. He recently completed a 5-kilometer hike with his grandchildren, something that seemed impossible before. Here's something important to remember. Consistency trumps perfection. You don't have to follow this plan perfectly 100% of the time to see benefits. Our clinical studies show that even an 80% adherence can result in significant improvements. That means you can still occasionally enjoy a tomato sauce on your pasta or a baked potato on special occasions. The important thing is that most of the time, you're feeding your body foods that support the health of your joints rather than worsening inflammation. In addition to these specific vegetables, I'd like to share 3 general tips to further power your journey to healthier joints. First, hydrate properly. Dehydration, even mild, can increase pain sensitivity and reduce joint lubrication. Try to drink at least 8 glasses of water a day, more if you're physically active or live in a hot climate. Second, consider adding healthy fats to your diet, especially omega-3s found in cold water fish like salmon and sardines, and extra virgin olive oil. These fats work synergistically with the anti-inflammatory vegetables we've discussed to create an even more powerful effect. Third, minimize your consumption of refined sugar and processed grains. These foods can trigger insulin spikes that promote inflammation throughout the body, potentially negating the benefits of the anti-inflammatory vegetables you're consuming. Let's review what we learned today. We found that 3 common vegetables, tomatoes, white potatoes, and eggplants, may be quietly making your osteoarthritis worse due to the inflammatory compounds they contain. On the other hand, we learned that broccoli, ginger, and kale can have transformative effects in reducing pain and promoting joint health due to their powerful anti-inflammatory and regenerative compounds. I've laid out a simple 3-step plan that anyone can follow. Eliminate the problem vegetables for 21 days, add the beneficial vegetables regularly, and keep a journal to track your progress. We complement this plan with 3 additional tips: proper hydration, adding healthy fats, and reducing sugars and refined grains. I would like to leave you with one last inspiring story. Martha, an 82-year-old grandmother from Texas, came to my office using a cane and clearly in significant pain. She had suffered from osteoarthritis for more than 2 decades and was taking multiple medications to manage the pain. Martha was skeptical about how simple dietary changes could help after so long, but she was willing to try. 6 months after implementing these changes in her diet, Martha came into my office without a cane. She had cut her pain medication in half, was sleeping better, and most importantly was once again actively participating in her grandchildren's lives. For the first time in years, she told me, I feel like I'm actually living, not just existing. This is the reason why I share this information with you today. It's not just about reducing pain, although that's important. It's about giving you back the ability to do the things that give your life meaning, to reconnect with the people and activities you love, to transform your quality of life. Living with arthrosis is not just about managing pain, it is about regaining joy in everyday moments. Those simple pleasures like holding the hand of someone you love, grabbing a cup of coffee without grimacing in pain, or playing with your grandchildren. I know you've shown incredible courage just by seeking answers. And I want you to know that you're no longer alone on this journey. Here at Forever Young Tips, our community understands exactly what you're going through because we've walked that path too. Every week I share simple and effective approaches that have helped thousands of people like you find relief without expensive medications or risky surgeries. If you would like to join our family of wellness, simply click on the sign up button below. When you do, you'll get practical and gentle guidance straight to your inbox, tips that work for real people with real arthritis pain. No false promises, no miracle cures, just honest and proven approaches that can help you wake up tomorrow feeling a little better than today. Because you deserve to live with less pain and more joy. Sign up now and let's make this journey together, one comfortable step at a time. And if you know someone who is suffering from osteoarthritis, please share this video with them. Sometimes the right information at the right time can be the first step towards a transformed life. Until next week, take care of yourself and remember, you deserve to live without pain.